never had to experience this, but have you ever witnessed a house burning down? You may be casually driving by, you see a burning home, you start to panic. There are bystanders not sure what to do, but they're willing to help any way possible. The alarm, the panic, and the sirens ring as they get closer, and the firefighters are working, putting out the fire as quickly as they can, maybe even stop to help if you're able. But I bet what you didn't see was someone standing there absolutely disgusted with those helping. Imagine if you were there desperate to help, and someone said to you, "But what about my house?" They point to their house down the street, perfectly safe and standing. You'd be confused, right? Their house isn't on fire. What's the problem? What if they told you, "But all houses matter"? Yeah, that doesn't make much sense. Of course all houses matter, but your house isn't on fire. The house in front of us is. We need to help this house. If you understand this, you can easily understand the Black Lives Matter movement and its importance. When a group of certain people are targeted, it is pertinent that as the United States of America as a whole, we stand together and make a difference. It is essential that we educate ourselves, as I have, on this matter regardless of your race, and do what you can to help these people. Today I'm going to describe how and why the Black Lives Matter movement began, the importance behind it, and how you can help the movement end the oppression of targeted Black lives. So let's start with a little history. Duchess Harris, the department chair of the American Studies Department at Macalester College, has written her book, Black Lives Matter, A Lot of the History of Racial Tension in the United States. It goes back to the first slaves arriving from Africa in 1619. These slaves had no rights, they were forced to work, eventually leading to the American Civil War and slavery being outlawed. Moving forward into the 1900s, racial tension did not end and black people were targeted still and attacked. Much of the South was segregated in many ways, which leads us to the Civil Rights Movement, abolishing racial discrimination. This is the history most of us are familiar with, so you may be privileged enough to think that this is where it ended and that everything was all fine and dandy. But in the early 1900s, a story hit the headlines of a black man beaten by 4 white police officers. These police officers were not found guilty. Riots broke out as an attack against the injustice shown towards the man, Rodney King. In 2009, the United States elected its first black president, Barack Obama. While you may think things have shown significant improvement since these times, it's detrimental to the country that everyone understands the importance of the Black Lives Matter movement and why we must stand strong. Barack Obama's election held high hopes for many. It did not bring a true ending to the segregation all across our country. Many towns and neighborhoods are still segregated. There was limited government assistance for schooling or housing, an overall lack of resources for these citizens to excel in any way. Beatings and murders by police did not cease. This is a problem. So Oscar Grant, 22 years old, he was shot and killed unarmed after a fight that had long ended on a train ride he was on. He got off the train, he was arrested and killed. Trayvon Martin, 17 years old, shot by Neighborhood Watch white man George Zimmerman, who was later found not guilty due to lack of evidence. After the shooting of Trayvon Martin, news traveled quickly and got to Alicia Garza, a resident of California. Alicia was outraged with the news that Zimmerman had not been guilty and shared her opinion of the disgusting situation on social media. She made a comment that black lives didn't seem to matter in America, but black lives do matter in America. That was her point. This started the hashtag Black Lives Matter, leading to a worldwide stand against the injustice against black people. You have probably heard by now the unfortunate recent death of George Floyd, a man held to the ground by a white officer and proven to have been suffocated. This man begged for help, for the officer to let him breathe, even begged for his mother prior to passing. This is unacceptable. That leads us to where we are today. It's unfortunate this issue is being addressed years and years later by so many. It's unfortunate this is one as an issue we have to deal with. One nation under God, we have to still discuss over and over. But today we can have the harsh discussion with others about how, according to the article, risk of being killed by police, use of force in the United States by age, race, ethnicity, and sex. It is proven for young men of color, police use of force is among the leading causes of death. This article describes the risk for black men and boys being killed by police as 96 per 100,000 deaths. For white men and boys, the odds are 39 per 100,000 deaths. That's almost a third. That is a huge difference. It's unacceptable. It only scratches the surface of the injustice shown in this country. Change is needed, but how do we make the change? If you're like me, you're wondering at this point, what exactly can you do to make any changes? How can one person make a difference? Here's where if you are not a person of color and feel that what you say or do will not make a difference, you can use your white privilege to help our fellow citizens. Put it to use. Educate yourself on racism. Rather than experiencing it, it's a privilege. You can start there. The website Time Out, a global magazine company based in London, provides an outside perspective on the issue as well as ways you can make a difference. You can donate to causes and organizations that lack funding like Black Lives Matter, the American Civil Liberties Union, Know Your Right Camp, and more. There's a complete list of other fundraisers you can donate to on their website. Time Out. You can go protest. Make sure you're familiar with your local laws and guidelines, but how better to prove a point than a large group of people making their voices heard? Sign petitions. Let's seek justice for those whose lives were wrongfully taken. You can support Black businesses. Post your support on your social media pages. This is a quick, easy way to share your opinion. You can show others it's okay to speak out on things like this. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Share that you do not agree with the injustice going on still in the year 2020. There's a solution and a way for anyone to help if they want to help, if they want to make a difference. The most important thing you can do is to keep educating yourself and stand your ground. If you take nothing from this talk other than you realize you need to do more research, I've made a difference. If you're already an active supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement, I hope I've helped you find a resource to further expand your support. And if you find yourself caught in a conversation and you don't like the way it's going or you think it might be unfair, try not to point blame. Educate these people. They may not truly know the importance behind this cause. They may not realize there's an issue. Most people that say all lives matter do not understand that for all lives to matter, Black lives must first matter. That is the reason behind this movement. Remind them it's okay to change your opinion when you're presented with new facts. And let's remember the history we just discussed, the importance of the movement, and the resources we have readily available to make a difference. Let's imagine us in a country that we should already know, where people are treated as common ground humans, where we're not judged by the color of our skin, but simply by what's inside. Let us become a nation where we can protect all of our houses from fires rather than the ones burning. Silence during this time is simply not an option. We can do better.